Good afternoon, children. As we know that we have already finished the theoretical part of first chapter, that is matter in our surroundings. Though we have finished our theoretical part, but I want to know from you children that whether all the concepts, all the fundamentals, all the basics, are they clear to you or not? First thing is that all these things should be clear to you. Everything should be set in your mind, then you can solve any kind of problem. As I told you already, that some of the problems will be asked directly. Directly means define this, explain this, what are the properties of this and that, write this, like this. But based on all these properties and the definitions and the facts, you will be more questions will be indirect. Indirect means based on these properties. So, if these things are clear to you, properties are clear to you, definitions are clear to you, try to understand everything. And if you understand children, then it will be very easy for you to learn also. And even if you forget something, then if you understand, then if you have understood, means if you have done by understanding, then you will find it very easy to recall it, and then you can write in your own words. Definition does not mean that you have to write by heart and write the definition. Meaning should be the same, and if definition is clear, properties will be clear to you, properties also you try to understand. And for very important thing, first and foremost thing is that you should have confidence in yourself, that you know everything, and but don't be overconfident children. You have to be balanced. Don't underestimate you, don't overestimate yourself. Be balanced. Then you can do everything. Have faith, have confidence, and you should have thinking that you can do everything, right? So, now let us start. First we will discuss the properties which are exercises which are given in your NCERT book. First question of your study material of matter in our surroundings. Matter in our surroundings, this we are doing first chapter, and the first question which is given in your study material from your NCERT book is, which of the following are matter? And the names given are chair, love, smell, hate, almonds, thought, cold and cold drink. Now first you try to understand that you have already done what is matter. Anything that occupies space, has mass and can be felt by five senses. What are the five senses? Sense of touch, sense of feel, sense of seeing, right? So, all these five senses, if you can feel and that has mass and occupies space, then it is called as matter. So, first thing is chair, then love. Out of these, first you see how many are solids and how many are liquid. Chair is solid, then almonds are solid, and these two are solids. So, these two are solids, chair and almonds, both of them, they occupy some space, they have mass also, so they are definitely matter. Then comes liquid, that is cold drink. Cold drink, of course, it has volume, it occupies space, it has mass, so it will be called as matter. Now, what are the things left which are love? Do love has any mass? No. Then hate is also thought. Then thought also no mass, no space, you can only feel it. Love you can feel, hate you can feel, thought you can feel, cold you can feel, but they do not have mass and space, they do not occupy space, only you can feel them. So, they are not matter. Smell, of course, if you smell anything, then what happens? If suppose I say that good smell is coming, then how it is coming? I am feeling, but how it is coming? It is coming in air, it is dissolved in air. So, if it is present in air, it means that air has mass, it occupies some space, so it is a matter. So, out of these we can say that chair, smell, almonds, cold drink, all these are matter, rest are only the feelings, do not have any mass, do not occupy any space, so they are not matter, right. Now, second question, children, in your study material, give reasons for the following observations. You have to give the reason, and what is your observation? The smell of hot sizzling food reaches you several meters away, but to get the smell from cold food, you have to go closer. If something is being cooked at your home in the kitchen, then you can smell in the other room also. But if the food is already cooked and it has become cold, then you cannot smell it from distance. Why? Because, can you reason? Yes, come on, say that it is because when you cook, while you are cooking, then the temperature is being you can say higher. If the temperature is higher, then what will happen? Then the diffusion, as we know that rate of diffusion is higher it increases with the rise in temperature. And how that smell is coming from hot food or the cooked food? Through the air. So, that aroma means the dissolved smell of the cooked food, that mixes up with the air, and because it is hot, so it reaches to our nose and we can smell it from kitchen only. But if it is cool or if the food is cold, then you cannot smell, because the reason being the same, that the temperature is lower and therefore diffusion also is the rate of diffusion is lower, intermixing is also lower. So, that cold food you cannot smell, right. And one more thing, one reason is diffusion. The other reason is that when you heat, then the smell or the aroma, that pleasant smell of the food, it is what? It is in the gaseous form. And we know that one reason is this, that diffusion. The other reason is this, that if you heat it, then what happens? The kinetic energy of the particles, that aroma is what? Particles, gaseous form, vapor form, or it is particle. So, kinetic energy, that is energy possessed by the moving body, the motion of those particles will increase, and because the kinetic energy increases, so it reaches to our nose very fast and you can smell it. So, two reasons, one is the diffusion and the second is the increase in the kinetic energy because of the heating or higher temperature. Then third, so here you can say diffusion and increase in kinetic energy. Then next is, what are the characteristics of particles of matter? Matter is made up of what? Particles. It has nature of the matter is particle nature, right? And you are asked the characteristics of the particles of matter. So, according to the kinetic theory, of matter, you can say that particles, they have voids. Voids means spaces. This is the position of the particles in case of solids. In case of liquids, the particles are little far away, you can say. This is the case of liquid. And in case of gases, particles are very far away. But whether it is a solid or a liquid or a gas, all the in between the particles, they are present voids or you can say spaces. Here these are voids or spaces, right? Here the same thing. So, one property is this, that according to the theory of kinetic theory of matter, one characteristic is that the in between the particles there are present voids or spaces. Then these particles, they are continuously moving. These particles, they are continuously moving. Whether you take the case of solid, take the case of liquid or take the case of gases. These particles, they are continuously moving. And what kind of motion it is? It may be translatory, it is rotatory and vibratory. All these three kinds of motion, they are exhibited by these particles, translatory, rotatory and vibratory. In case of solids, you will see that only this type of motion is there, and in case of this liquids, the spaces, voids are more, so they can vibrate also, they can rotate also, and here they can be, the particles, they are very far away, so they can have all three kinds of motion very easily, right. Then next property is that these particles they attract each other. Particles attract each other. This we have already seen, children, that in between these particles there is force of attraction. Force of attraction. In case of solids, the particles, they are very close to each other, so force of attraction is highest. In case of liquids, the particles are little far away, so force of attraction is less, and in case of gases, the particles, they are very far away, so the force of attraction is very less, you can say least, but in all the cases you will see that in between the particles there is force of attraction. And the next characteristic is that particles are very small. Particles are very small, they are so small that they cannot be seen with the naked eye, right. So, these are the characteristics of the particles of matter. According to the kinetic theory, the first characteristic is this, that in between the particle there are present empty spaces or voids, or they are also called as voids. Next property is that these particles, they are continuously moving. They are exhibiting translatory, rotatory and vibratory motion. Then next characteristic is this, that these particles, they attract each other. There is force of attraction in between the particles. Then next is that the particles, they are very small, they are so small that they cannot be seen with the naked eye. So this is all about the third problem in your NCERT book. Now next problem which we are going to discuss is, arrange the following in order of increasing density. Fourth problem given in your study material, and this is based on this thing, NCERT book. In your, all these problems they are given in your NCERT book, but in your study material it is the serial number is 4, and the problem is, arrange the following in order of increasing density. Increasing density. Now what is density? Density, we can say that how much heavy a body is. If a body is light, we say that the density is less. If a body is heavy, then we say that density is more. And we write density is equal to mass divided by volume, mass per unit volume. If volume is more, density is less. If volume is less, then density is more. Now what are the things given here? Air, exhaust from chimney, these are the things given from chimney, then next is honey, then water, then chalk, then comes cotton, and then iron, right. So you have to find out, you have to arrange all these things in the order of increasing density. Now this air, it is what? It is gas. Any other gas here? Yes, exhaust from chimney. These two are gas. Then honey and water, they are liquid, and these three are solid, right. So you have to arrange them in the increasing order of density, and density is equal to mass upon volume. So amongst all these things, we know that gases, they are lightest. Amongst solid, liquid and gases, gases are the lightest. Why? Because their volume is more. They occupy more of the space. The same quantity of gas, it can occupy this much of volume also and this much of volume also. So amongst all these things which are given here, these two are gases. So these two will be the lightest, right. So but in between these two also, air and exhaust from chimney, we have to find out which one is lighter. This exhaust from chimney, it sometimes contains many heavy gases, many dust particles. So amongst these two also, air will be lightest, you can say. Here we are arranging them in the order of increasing density. So among these two, air will be lighter, and then comes exhaust from chimney, because this exhaust which we get from the chimney, here in the industries you must have seen that there are chimney, and all the smoke particles, or along with the smoke particles you can say smoke, you can see the dust particles also, all the impurities which are coming out from the industry or factories, it comes out from the exhaust, and that contains some heavy particles also. So this must be lighter than the air. Then comes liquid, right? Amongst these two, that is water and honey. Water is lighter and honey is heavier. You might have seen that water easily flows. If water is spilled, then what happens? It easily flows. But if you want to, if you are taking out honey from a bottle, then you will find out that it will take some time. So fluidity is less. If fluidity is less, means it must be heavier. So then comes water, and after that honey, right? Now amongst these three also, that is chalk, cotton and iron. Cotton, as we all know, it is very light. Why it is light? Because in between the particles of cotton there are present air spaces, or volume occupied by cotton is more, and if volume is more, then density of course will be less. So among these three, lightest is cotton. Then comes chalk, and lastly iron. So all, see here, all these examples which are given here, they are based on what? Upon the density. D is equal to m upon V. If you have this basic concept that how much will be the volume occupied, then you can easily segregate them, you can differentiate them, and you can write. So that is all about the. Then one more thing is given in your book, that is table of properties of solid, liquid and gases. That table is given in your study material. It is provided in the, means all the properties of solid, liquid and gases, they are given in the tabular form in the study material, right? And we have already discussed all the properties, so there is no need to discuss them again. Our next problem or next question in your NCERT book is, I will read it out. Problem number 5, comment upon the following. Comment upon the following. First is rigidity. This word rigidity, it has come from rigid. Rigid means stubborn, you can say, or you can say that you are trying to do, you are trying to move it, but it is not moving. It is not going ahead, right? So solid particles, or you can say solids, they are rigid. They do not allow the, even if you apply pressure to them, then also their shape does not change, they are rigid. You will not be able to change their shape. If rigidity is the property, you can say that on applying force, on applying pressure, you are not able to change the shape, that is called a rigidity. And solids, usually they are rigid. Why they are rigid? The reason same, that the particles, they are very close to each other, and because of that force of attraction, it is more, and you cannot change the shape by applying pressure or force. Next is compressibility. Just opposite, compressibility. Compressibility, if you can compress, In case of solid, if suppose you compress, this is a solid, if I compress it, will I be able to compress it? No. Why I will not be able to compress it? Because here the molecules or the particles are there very close to each other. But in case of liquid, I can compress to some extent. But in case of gases, particles are very far away. So if I apply pressure, if suppose I have suction pump on the piston of that pump, with the piston of that pump I apply some pressure, then what will happen? The gas will get compressed, particles will come closer to each other, and this property, by applying force or pressure, the volume decreases. This is called as I can decrease the volume by applying the pressure or force. This is called as compressibility, and this is highest in case of gases, because the particles, they are very far away. The in between the particles there is a lot of space, and therefore you can compress to the maximum. Then comes fluidity. Fluidity. Fluidity means the property by virtue of which a substance can flow. Water can flow, liquids can flow, even gases, they can also flow, air can flow, right? But solids, they means, of course, if you shape some solids, for example ship and all, they are able to flow with water. On water they can flow. If you have a piece of wood on water, of course it can flow. But if you are having something here on the ground, and if you try to flow it, it will, you can move it, but you cannot say that it is flowing. Fluidity means it is the property of the substance such that it can flow. Liquids can flow, the reason being the same, that the particles, they are not very close and not very far, so they can flow, they have the property of fluidity. Gases, they can very easily flow, particles are very far away. Then next is filling a gas container. If you have a gas container and if you try to fill air or gas in that, then what will happen? All the gas or air which you have taken, you can fill in the container. If you have this much quantity of gas, then also it will occupy the whole of the space, and if you have this much quantity of gas, then also it will occupy the whole of the space in the cylinder. So you can easily fill the cylinder with gas, because the gases, they have the property of fluidity, and particles, they are very far away. So they will easily move inside the container, and they will completely occupy the space. And inside the container, what will happen? These particles, they will continuously move, and because of that motion, what will happen? They will exert pressure. They will inside the cylinder, the particles, they will strike to each other also, and they will strike on the wall of the container also, and because of this collision, what will happen? The particles, they will exert pressure. Then next thing is shape. Shape. What is the meaning of shape? A definite, you can say defined, you can say outline of a body, that is called the shape. See here, this is rectangle in shape, it has a particular shape. Then here, this is, you can say, a long shape, right? So shape means the outline which is defining this particular thing, that is called as shape. And why we know that solids, they have definite shape, liquids, they do not have definite shape, they take the shape of container, and gases, they do not have, neither they have definite shape nor volume. Here if we are talking about shape, then to solids they have definite shape, because the particles, they are very close to each other, force of attraction is more, which gives them a particular shape. So, this is about the shape. Then next thing is kinetic energy. What is kinetic energy, children? Kinetic energy is the energy possessed by a moving particle. Kinetic energy. It is the energy possessed by a moving body. Energy possessed by a moving body. Now we know that whether it is solid, liquid or gas, all the three things, they are made up of particles, and these particles, they are continuously in motion, and this motion, it can be vibratory, it can be translatory, it can be rotatory. So, all these particles, because they are continuously in motion, so they have kinetic energy, and this is called this is about the kinetic energy. It is the energy possessed by the virtue of motion or a moving body. It can be vibratory, translatory or rotatory. Then next comes density. What is density? Density means heaviness or lightness. If a body is light, then we say that the density is less. If the body is heavy, then we say that the density is more. And this density, it depends upon what? D, we say m upon v, mass per unit volume. If volume is more, density is less. If volume is less, density is more. What is the unit of this density? Mass we write in grams, volume we write in liters. So, that is equal to gram per unit liters, or you can also write in milliliters. So, mass per that is gram per milliliter, gram per milliliter or gram per liter. You can write gram per liter also, whatever is the unit in which volume is expressed. So, how much you have to write for each, that again depends upon children marks. If suppose each term you are asked for 1 mark, then you just define the this thing term and give one example. If each term it is given for 2 marks, then define, give an example and try to explain. If it is given this term is given for 3 marks, then you have to explain it in you can say very lengthy, or you can say you have to explain it in detail, right. So, again see the marks and accordingly write the answer. And whenever you get the question paper, children, first whenever you read that, then if any of the question you find difficult, don't get stressed. Try to solve the easiest ones first, so that you score those marks positively. Then comes a little harder. Leave space for everyone, every question. Those which are very easy, attempt those first. Then comes a little, you can say, time consuming and logical thinking. Write those. Then lastly you attempt those questions which you are finding it very difficult. See the time, accordingly you divide the time and write the answers, so that you can score the highest. Then next problem of your study material, that is number 6. question number 6 or problem number 6 in your study material. Give reasons. Give reasons. A gas fills completely the vessel in which it is kept. Just now we have discussed that gas, it will completely take the place of the container, because in gas the particles, they are very far away, interparticle spaces they are more, interparticle forces of attraction they are least. So, it occupies the whole of the volume in the container or in the vessel, whether it is this much amount or this much amount, that will completely occupy the container. Then B, a gas exerts pressure on the walls of the container. Just now I told you that if you have a container, this is the container, and in this container I am filling the gas. What is gas? It is made up of particles. These are the particles of gas particles. This is container. Right? Now, what happens? What is your question? That the gases, they exert pressure on the walls of the container. Yes. Now, these particles, they are, as we know that they are continuously moving. They are moving like this, they are moving like this, they are moving in any direction, you can say. They have vibratory motion also, translatory motion also, rotatory motion also, but they are continuously moving. So, when they are moving, they are striking each other. This particle, it will strike this particle, it will strike this. They are continuously striking each other. Along with that, they are striking the wall of the container also. They are striking the wall of the container also. They are striking among themselves also, and they are striking on the walls of the container also. And because of that striking of them on the walls, it exerts pressure. Pressure is exerted by the particles because of striking. Where they are striking? On the walls, right. So, gases exert pressure on the walls of the container because these particles, they are continuously in motion, and these moving bodies, they strike on the walls, and therefore, they exert pressure. Then next is, a wooden table should be called a solid. C. A wooden table should be called solid. All of you have seen table at your home, in your class, everywhere, right? Why do we call it as solid? Because it has a particular shape. It has mass. Mass, of course, gas, liquid, solid, everything have. But this will be called as solid because it has a particular defined shape. It has a particular defined shape. That is the reason a table is called a solid. It is made up of particles. Particles are very close to each other. It does not flow. All the properties of solid. It does not flow. It is rigid. You cannot compress it. Right. So, and because of all these things, it has a definite or defined shape. That is the reason that because of this reason, a table will be called as, a wooden table will be called as solid. Then next question in your study material, children.